Vancouver introduced a foreign buyers tax and sales dropped by 30%. But the big question is, will it last? In this chart, we are looking at the home price index for Vancouver and Toronto, both before and after the introduction of the foreign buyers tax, which is shown by MO. And what the data suggests is that the regulatory change doesn't do much in terms of cooling the Canadian housing market over the long term. Everybody seems to agree that there are risks associated with record high real estate prices, and yet when we look at this chart, it seems as though once we saw cooling measures, they only seem to have a short-term impact. Why is that, Mike?
So foreign buyers taxes are really just like it's like a toll on a road, and it's making foreign capital a bit more. It's making house prices a bit more expensive for foreign capital. But if you think about what happened in Vancouver, prices dropped for about 4 months, and today they're right back to where they were pre-tax. We would expect the same phenomenon to occur in Toronto, a few months of cooling, but by the fall we should be back to levels that we saw before the measures were introduced.
If regulatory changes aren't likely to have an impact on prices, what could help curb the housing market?
It's really a supply-side solution. If there's a lot of demand, excess demand should be met with excess supply, and ultimately the cure for higher prices is higher prices as it pulls in more investment to build homes that there's demand for. And so I think the answer to this is really a supply-side solution. The challenge with demand-side solutions is you sometimes get unintended consequences that aren't really what you want. And so we would argue that it's more important to think about supply-side measures to solve this problem.
One of the things that becomes obvious in this chart is the idea of spillover. So when Vancouver implemented a foreign buyers tax, it caused prices in markets like Toronto to, go up. What could be the next up-and-coming city in Canada?
Well, if you think about where foreign capital wants to go, our research would show that when people from other countries buy property, they tend to want to buy in places that have some commonalities with their ethnicity. So markets where there's a large Asian population, for example, would be a primary source. So Ottawa, Montreal, Calgary all have vibrant Chinese communities, and that could be the next spot for foreign investment into Canada.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.